Hi, welcome to the Gen X Glam and Gab channel here on YouTube. It is great to see everyone, whether you're new, whether you're coming back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know that there are a lot of choices out there. So many choices out there on YouTube, Instagram. There are so many places that you could be scrolling around right now, but thank you for hanging out with me, Mom in her basement, doing a little bit of glam, doing a little bit of Gab. Sometimes I do giveaways. And there is a current Gen X Glam and Gab giveaway going on right now. I will link that giveaway video in this video description. You need to be subscribed to my channel, make a comment in that giveaway video, and have a USA or Canada mailing address. And voila, you'll be entered. So I'm doing a quick get ready with me. Most of my videos are quick get ready with me, although sometimes they're not really that quick. And especially since I'm starting with skincare today, this video I have to try to get out. Like, I literally press record, get ready with you, and then I upload quickly, write a quick description, and then I'm off to school drop off and everywhere else. Today I had to get up super duper early because it was garbage day. And like, I am counting every single garbage day leading up to my move. For those of you who are just tracking my channel, new to the channel, I am prepping for an international move. I've been doing a lot of decluttering. In fact, I have a whole makeup decluttering series that I'm going to drop in July and August when I'm on vacation and not able to upload as much. And it's not because I don't want to upload. I really don't have the resources on summer vacation. I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere, just not having a lot of reception, definitely not having this great little studio like I have here in my basement, which I'm going to miss so bad. So anyway, that summer series is coming, and a little bit of the behind the scenes, like, pack with me. You know, how did I pull this off? Well, let me tell you, I had to start months and months and months ago, but I really think this last haul to the curb on random garbage that, you know, that you just accumulate and you look at throughout your time living in a place and you're like, I should really go through that. And then you don't. Well, that like was me times 20 and all these nooks and crannies in my house. And just over the past couple of months, I have been going through closet by closet and just making decisions. The community garage sale went really well. I think it went really well last week. So now I'm down to just some bigger ticket items that didn't sell, like a lawnmower and some dressers that I can post in classified ads. Classified ads. Mentioned this on the phone talking to one of my kiddos, my older kiddo, and he was on his way back from work. I was on my way back from work and we were catching up quick before we started our transit home. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to list some stuff in the classified ads, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what's a classified ad? I had to explain to him, Gen Xers, I had to explain to him, Gen Z, what a classified ad was. He thought it was like secret information or something. I'm like, what are you talking about? Secret information. Back in the day when people posted things for sale or things they wanted to buy in real life, they did it in a newspaper in a section called the classified ads. Unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. All right, let's put a little bit, I'm going in with, oopsie daisy, a lot of Shiseido today. This is like a Essence Concentrate Lotion. I put some under eye cream from Shiseido. I'm going to go in with some Shiseido from their Ulta Immune line, a little bit of their serum. Going to do some quick color correcting and then get out the door. I think I mentioned, you know, I've been watching. Okay, so that's not what I mentioned. I have been watching people unbox their Ipsy boxes. Okay, I thought that I canceled my Ipsy box for, I guess it would have been May, but I didn't. And I think it's coming this week. So I'll have a show and tell. In addition to get ready with me videos, I also do show and tell videos. So I'll have that. And yesterday they sent me the email, like, what's in your box? And my box is looking pretty good. They picked for me. This is what they picked for me. I don't want to get this cream on my nails, so I'm just going to use the back of my disposable spoolie to get some of this. This is, again, all from I'm going all in with Shiseido today and skincare. So they picked for me, two cool brushes, and they're pink. One is supposed to be like a liquid brush, like for liquid creams and stuff. And the other one looks to be more like a fluffy brush. So I'm excited about that. They also picked, they they picked a lippy for me. I don't know. Now I can't remember exactly, but when I get that, we'll go through it. So this cream is a little bit thicker than like my magic cream, and I've been using the POV Beauty Whip It cream too, because those magic cream and the POV Beauty Whip It face cream, they just like dissolve right into my skin. But this isn't bad. This is actually Shiseido's top of the line in their collection. I think we need to let it sit though, and then I can do some color correcting. I did go in also using some POV Beauty this morning on my lips with the Amp It like lip oil. I like this stuff. It does have a mango flavor to it, and it just like, it has a little bit of a pearl finish. I'm not saying it's got glitter. No way. It glistens. It glistens on your lips. All right, so you know how I've been doing when I remember to do a question of the day, because this goes back to October Palooza, my birthday month, when I was uploading videos every single day, asking a question of the day. I also did that in February. And then I thought, oh, let's do some summer themed questions of the day, you know, just to like, I don't know, get everybody ready for summer. So today I thought, instead of doing question of the day, why don't I do get ready with me topic of the day? Because there has been a topic of discussion that's just been sticking in my head since I read this article on it the other day. And I thought I would just talk about it because I know I've got some moms here. And listen, constructive dissent is fine. We don't all have to agree on everything, right? What kind of community would we be if everybody was just like, yeah, me too, me too, me too. Like there'd be no diversity in opinion. But I feel like a lot of us are going to be on the same page on this one. So I was reading this article about, it was a crying baby on the plane. It seems like an age-old question, you know? It's like one of these cliche questions. Oh yeah, I was on a flight and this baby cried the whole time. Well, so now we're in this age of social media where nobody knows what a classified ad is. And probably this Gen Zer who, if asked, wouldn't know what a classified ad is, but had the wherewithal to upload a picture of themselves rolling their eyes on an airplane with some sort of caption about, you know, 2-hour flight screaming baby. And then, so that so that sparked a bunch of discussion on the article, and I was reading into it, and I can just tell you, you know, traveling, all right, this is ready. This is ready. We're ready to go in and do some color correcting. I can just tell you, traveling with 2 kids from very young ages, like I have done, you can't, you know, people in the articles were saying things like, you know, the parent probably wasn't doing anything. Why don't they just like walk them through the aisles? Or, you know, some people are like, why can't they just give them some medication to make them, like, why are people traveling with kids at all? I didn't travel with my kid until they were such and such an age. Another one, why can't, so I'm giving you all of the negative comments, right? Another one was like, why can't airplanes have soundproof rooms for people with like unruly children, like screaming babies, or like those kids that kick your seat? Come on now, adults kick your seat. I'm going to make that argument right away. This is not unique. A kid kicking your seat on an airplane is not unique at all, because you could be sitting behind an adult that kicks your seat, right? It's to say like the kid screaming and for 2 hours of your flight and making, you know, noise pollution, and therefore you're unable to be comfortable or, you know, block out that noise pollution. It's also not unique when you compare it to an adult that snores horrifically for an entire flight. Come on, we've all been on these flights with people snoring. And like, don't even get me started on drunk adults on planes and that we have to put up with them. At the end of the day, my opinion, everybody buys their seat, right? And that's just the way it is. You can't say that you shouldn't travel with a kid until they're a certain threshold age, because what if there's an emergency, there's an emergency in a family, and you know, you live far away and you need to get to your family so that you can be part of of the group, of like whatever's going on. You can be supportive. You can be there. What if, like me, you've had to travel for work? And, what are you going to do? Leave the kid behind? Like, wait, what am I going to do? Quit my job because my kid's like 2 months old, 6 months old, 1 year old, 18 months old, 2 years old, 3, 4, 5, 6, and every other age, all those ages I've listed off, I've personally traveled with children. And you can't, either for family purposes or for like moving when they were young. Well, I'm just supposed to not be a productive part of the workforce because I have to get to point A to B. And the only way I can do that is on an airplane. I'm sorry. Then there's people making comments. Well, can't people just take the train or the bus? Not if you got to go over an ocean, you can't. Take the Queen Mary or something. Bring the Titanic back. It's just so ignorant. And then there's this whole thing, like there's all of that, like just all of this ignorance going on. Of course, people have to travel with children because maybe they have to travel for work. Maybe they have family reasons, right? Maybe their kid's sick and they need to get them across the country to get to some specialist, right? And they're crying because they're in pain. Everybody knows that babies are babies, right? They're learning. They're new humans. They emote. They can't just sit there quietly. If they're in pain or if they're in discomfort, whatever it may be, they have to emote. That is how they communicate. So I'm sorry, Gen Zer, sitting in your seat, rolling your eyes about your 2-hour plane. Try an international trip. Sit next to me on a 12-hour haul, buddy. Let my kids scream. Oh, no, I wouldn't. See, I wouldn't. Like, as a parent, you do everything that you can to make your kids comfortable, like for altitude, adults will like yawn, to pop their ears, or maybe they'll chew gum, but you can't do that with the kid. How are the kids like relieving the pressure that they feel when they're flying at altitudes and they need to pop their ears? They scream, they open up their mouths loud and they scream, and they realize that brings some relief to them. So they could be in physical discomfort. I don't know. So that's my topic of the day. And I don't even want to get into the fact that, for me, my kids had some special needs when they were younger. They weren't exactly cookie cutter kids. I think I've mentioned that before. Didn't have the cookie cutter kids. And unfortunately, they were, we got some blending we got to do over here. They did fall in that category. At least, one of them did more than the other. One had behavioral issues when traveling, but again, I had to get from point A to point B. And so had to deal with that. And the other one had physical discomfort while traveling. So maybe that manifested in a lot of crying. And then, as the parent, you're doing everything you can, giving them a bottle, trying to, comfort them with food. Somebody wrote in some message, just give the kid a screen. Why are you making the assumption that maybe the parent didn't try to give the kid a screen? And looking at a screen and scrolling around and being stimulated by all the flashy is not always the cure to everything. That's not the cure to happiness. Maybe the parent did try. I mean, the presumption in this particular article was that the parent wasn't doing anything. The kid was just screaming, and like everybody on the plane was suffering. Well, I say, those parents were suffering too. Kids are hardwired how they're hardwired. If you got a special need kid, they're hardwired a certain way, and there's nothing that you can do about it. But try to redirect them. Try to, when they don't make a smart choice, if they're old enough to understand, like, hey, that wasn't a smart choice. What could you have done? It's just a lot of extra work as a parent, constantly redirecting and helping the kiddos out understand things that maybe other kids pick up a little bit easier. So it's the silliest thing, right? I mean, we know that there are screaming babies on the planes. There are drunk adults on the planes. There are people who take up your personal space. They have absolutely, and they are old enough. An adult is old enough to understand that they are encroaching on your personal space when they're not only on the armrest, right? but they're actually, their legs are in your underneath the, you know, they're in your ground space. They're like completely sprawled out. They're old enough to understand that that's not a good choice. And that absolutely affects the experience of the person they're taking over their space from. We say to my kids all the time in therapy, body space. You respect other people's body space, because that's just what you do. Nobody wants, you know, some rando to come running up to them and giving them a big hug, or, you know, sprawling out, going in. I love this. I love them going in with some of my juicy melon. I'm bringing this with me for the summer. I love this stuff. Well, yeah, nobody wants sprawling body parts in the minimal space that you already get on a plane. But does that stop people from doing it? No, still do it. And these aren't screaming babies that are doing that, right? These are grown adults. So that's my topic of the day. Boy, that article really got me spin up. Like, I just look back at some of the horrific long hauls that I traveled alone with kids, right? Because I was a single mom most of my child rearing years. And, you know, I actually relied, and this is, now I want to say, now I'm going to flip the coin. I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of Charlotte Tilbury's beautiful skin. I don't know, just around here, just because I like the formula so much. I'm going to flip the coin, and I'm tiny bit. And I'm going to say that in the course of my travels, I also met really helpful people that saw me struggling, whether it was in a line and the kids were fighting and they could see like that the kids were not listening to me, because, you know, dynamic between, you know, kids, especially moms and kids sometimes, especially when you're the only parent, you know, the kid's not going to listen to you. I've had adults step in and just kind of shock the kids and be like, hey, your mom's talking to you. She's telling you to, you know, be quiet, just stand in line, stop hitting each other, whatever, you know, just like, I've appreciated that. And then, you know, when they were little and I had my hands full and I was trying to break down a stroller and carry a car seat and carry a kid and get on a plane and deal with my carry-on. And, you know, Captain asked me one time on one of these instances, hey, what can I do to help you? I was like, here you go, pass him the kid. And again, like, hands full, trying to get through security. I used to put those kids in the gray bins, not that they went through the x-rays, but I used to just stash them in a gray bin so I could be hands-free and, you know, try to quickly break down all my equipment, because I had people behind me half the time that were annoyed that I was holding up the line. Here I am by myself with all my equipment and all my babies. You know, people just need, at the end of the day, like, as I reflect on this video, this is like kind of like my bottom line. People just need to be a lot less judgy of other people. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. We have to find a way to coexist on this planet. You know, it would be great if we could do it in harmony, but we've proven as humans that that's not necessarily possible. But we could do a little bit better on the judge front. I don't know. That's my thought on the whole thing. All right, just a little bit of Guerlain powder. We got to get out of here. We do have to get out of here. I did do the garbage all by myself. My kiddo, like, I started recording this video and I got a couple minutes into it and I had like a knock, 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 knock. The kiddo that used to scream because his ears hurt when we traveled, he's good now. He's good. Now he just puts on his headphones and plugs into his screen. That's what he does now. But he's like, "What? You did all of the garbage by yourself?" I was like, "Yeah, I just got up early and was motivated." But still got to get that kid. He likes to, a couple times a week, I've mentioned this before, we stop at McDonald's, and he really looks forward to that. All right, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? I wanted to show everyone this, the Intense Nude lip oil from Clarins. So I went in with my Everywhere Caffeine and I did a little bit of lining my lips. I love this shade. And the thing I like about the Intense Nude lip oil from Clarins is that it dries down really fast and it's a lip oil stain, and I really like the shade. If you were watching my video yesterday, I was trying out all the lip oils that I had in stock because I had a friend that was looking for solution to have a nice lip stain, and then, you know, when her top coat of gloss or lipstick wears off, she still has a nice stain underneath. And so I was trying out all these different stains of mine, and one of them that I tried out was the for the sheer of it, Elf's new lip and cheek stains. Comes in 5 shades for $5. That's what she liked the best. She liked that the best. So, but I told her to still try the Wonder Skin, because I'm curious if it's just me, you know, maybe it's just me that's all like, Wonder Skin's not doing it for me. She did say that shade looked entirely too light. And she already had, listen to this girl, she had those CoverGirl lip stain pens. She had the OG. She still had an OG pen in her kit. And I was like, okay, well, this is the upgrade. Can you imagine? I think that OG pen might be well past its expiration date. I've seen videos of people using those OG pens, and they look pretty cool. All right, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're well. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope I didn't get too much on my high horse over, you know, my topic of the day, which is, you know, traveling, you know, children that travel, and the noises that they make, and the perceived inconveniences that strangers have about children that travel, and the presumptions that they make about the parents that are actually taking their young children on a plane to get from point A to Z for, you know, I'm sure it's not just for the fun of it, right? We all know that, you know, it's a lot easier to travel without kids. So if you see a kid traveling with their parent and they're having a rough time, know that the parent probably had to do the trip. Obviously, if they had a choice, they wouldn't have brought their child. And it's not your business anyway. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.